Hello, it's Josh here from Racing the Profit. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in mainly this video, Gigi's Gold, as always. And what am I going to show you today, or what am I going to talk through today? A couple of the tips I thought at Goodwood, three of them. Currently, I'm recording this video at 4:15 on Monday. I may add one or two more from various parts of the content on Tuesday morning, but for now I don't have a problem tipping the odd night before, especially these big class twos which have a lot of liquidity in the Betfair market, and give us options, but I'll get onto those in a moment. If you're unaware or haven't watched the video previously, I tend, or this flat season, a deliberate strategy for various reasons, is to focus laser-like on my own content that I'm producing. If you're unaware, you can read the blog Content Explained, which talks through all of these different sections and also includes links to various different stats reports which underpin the different sections. The tips live here. As you watch this video, you will see the horse I'm going to talk about will now be within this section 1. And yeah, there's various stats qualifiers that I focus on, with some focus on those that are horse race based, top 4 rated, and again that's all explained within the blog Content Explained booklet. They're quite a good kind of focal point, and yeah, just give more information and context to the ability of the horse against their rivals in today's conditions and various other different factors. And yeah, there's also the Goodwood and Galway, which is always the case with this week. I've kind of done a less is more report, which you can read there with a few angles to help us, give us a way in and some focus, I suppose, but without bombarding us with too many horses, because yeah, having too many can kind of have a negative impact on focus, and sometimes it could be hard to know where to look. But yeah, you can obviously use this content in any way you please. As always, a big chunk of what I do is to provide unique and kind of thoughtful, hopefully, research, trainer-based, sire-based, big meeting-based, jockey-based, to help give you a starting point or a way in to find even more of your own winners. And there's different ways you can shortlist. You may just want to focus on those with a red symbol, horse race based, top 4 next to their name. You may use the market as a guide, because you may have different thoughts on price ranges. Possibly you might focus on those that rate to 1 or shorter, or bigger prices, or whatever, or you know, there's certain race types you like to focus on, sprint handicaps, long distance handicaps, you name it. Hopefully some of this information can give you a focus and a way into a race, these particular horses, and of course provide some context, I suppose. So yes, with that said, that's how I use the content. I use the horse as a way into the race, have a good look at the race, have a good look at all the runners, and try and make a kind of value-based decision depending on the market and the odds, which of course is subjective. Goodwood, big handicap pointers. There'll be a proper trends approach for a couple of big handicaps on Saturday. For kind of leading up to the week, I'll try and pull out these trainer pointers. These are simply lists of horses against who are running for trainers who have won the race previously in the last 12 years. And of course, trainers are creatures of habit, especially when it comes to targeting certain races. They tend to know what type of horse is required. And of course, if they do target the race and work backwards for some of their horses, that can explain various runs leading up to said contests as well. So yes, what did I want to say? You will see that I've kind of gone 1.5 point win on 1.5 points win on Tindali at a 9.0. Well, he's 9.2 now, so he's kind of 8 to 1. There's plenty of liquidity in the market. You shouldn't have any problem getting kind of 5s through to 20s matched and through to 30s. And yeah, he's kind of generally 7s across the board. I'm going to record him at taking a price. If you've got best odds guaranteed accounts, then by all means use them. You will know that I record prices to 2 sets of results, advised price, which I monitor for kind of 20 minutes or so after I've posted, and Betfair SP as well. And I have no issue advising a price within races like this. And you know, sometimes you back horses and they drift out. A lot of the time you back them with the intention, or all the time with the intention, they're going to shorten up. So yeah, Tinandali, to get his name right. 9.2, around 8-1 with 2% commission. It's kind of 7.84 to 1, or was when it was 9.0. And which is when I looked kind of 10 minutes ago. And Babos Boy 1-point win, a bit of a flyer, 44 or so, 46 ASC's changed as I'm recording this. Hopefully plenty in the price range of 40 plus shouldn't be a problem, fingers crossed, but I'll keep an eye on it. That just seemed ridiculously big, and I'll explain why in a moment. And this is a race which can throw up big price winners. But Tinandali throw Mira. Let me just have a quick look at him as I tick around the 6 minutes. It's only the 10th run of his life, so he's lightly raced. There's more to come. His RPR suggests his mark is workable, and he hasn't run a bad race this season. The air, he probably needed it at air, but the yard weren't firing like they are now. If you watch that Epsom run back, it was fairly slowly run. He was staying on again at the end. He's shaped like a horse who was well handicapped off 102. I think on the weight turnaround, provided they run the same race and have luck in running, I would fancy the selection to finish ahead of Sky Defender. I don't think he'll get quite an easy lead in this race, but I could be wrong. And if that York run back, I do just want to show that was in the John Smith Cup, which has been a good pointer to this race. I think 4 or 5 of the winners from the last 22 years ran in the John Smith Cup, which was only 10 days ago. Trainer and jockey won this same race last year with Fayez, who went in at 25-1. His draw's fine. He should hopefully be able to race mid-division. If I just go over to the Racing Post and watch this race, I think when you watch it, he should have, well, with a clear run, he may well have finished ahead of the pack, and he would have been in the top 3. He was drawn 19 here with the noseband. I think Danny was conscious that he wanted to be wide so that he could challenge up the near side, which would seem to be riding quicker on this particular meeting. If I just skip round to as they enter the home straight, this is where he starts to get after him. He's at the back there. The winner under Stevie Donahue, who's had a brilliant ride, and he's got him wide. Both of them get trapped for space. He's just started to get motoring a bit before Danny. Danny's starting to ask now, but now the door gets shut. There you go. Look, he's had to stop riding for stride after stride. Completely at the wrong point in the race, just as the winner was quickening up, just as some of these others were quickening up. Now he gets into the clear. The race has kind of gone. He's staying on. You will see here, look how he just swoops past the rest of the field with a clearer run. I should think he would have been upsides the 3rd, if not ahead of him. I would fancy him to finish ahead of 5th position in this race, and I kind of thought that form may be good enough to take this and certainly get very, very close. 5th position, they reach for the blinkers. They clearly think he could be putting a bit more in. Anyway, I think Tinandali, for all of those reasons, suggests he's going to run a big, big race. He's lightly raced. I think this mark is workable. He's been running as if he hasn't run a bad race this season. He's in form. Of course, he is one of those types who's always or has been running on. So he will need some luck in running. Hopefully from this draw, he doesn't have to be switched off and held up last. I think Danny was kind of had to do that because he was drawn so wide and he wanted to challenge wide. He was midfield at Epsom, so hopefully he can get out and he can track a position and he can start asking him up the straight. The fact he handled Epsom okay, I think he was unbalanced at times, but generally okay, would give you hope that Goodwood would be okay for him, and that he's got plenty of time to get running and hopefully kind of switch out and swoop down the middle of the track. He will be running on. He might be a hard luck story, but I thought if everything went to plan, around 8-1, 9.2 or whatever he is, 9.0 on Betfair was fair, and I wanted. I'm fairly confident he's going to run a big race, hence the 1.5 points, which we'll see if that's foolish or not come the end of the race. Babos Boy, who's a trainer, profile qualifier. It's just this run here as I switch back, where he absolutely hacked up and beat some good horses. If I just look at the future form here, so he won this fairly easily off 92. He had Harrovian, who since won off 95, Country, who since won off 92, Alternative Fat, who won off 90, and you'd like to think he would have him beat again. He's lightly raced, it's only 4. This race, generally you want to kind of be 6 and younger, I think. I forget the exact. Oh no, 7 and older have quite a bad record. Anyway, it's only the 11th turf run of his life. He left the Michael Bell yard. We wasn't on this day, sadly. And that was in first time blinker. So there's a couple of things here which might suggest he won't run his race. Firstly, it could be he's best fresh, although a couple of his wins came after his return last season, so I'm not 100% sure that's true. The other thing is the blinkers may have just worn off, and it was simply a case that he reacted to them and he hasn't done since. But of course, this run at Haydock, he fell out the stalls. It was in 2 furlongs further and it was proper soft ground, and I'm really not sure he wants it that soft. His best form has had good in the going. He doesn't mind a bit of cut. This track is probably drying out a bit. I don't think they'll do any more rain. I think the ground will be perfect for him. So that better ground and the drop back in trip and hopefully a better start are the reasons why we can ignore that run. I wouldn't obviously take a short price about him. Beckett does fairly well at the track as well. Ross and Ryan, of course, they get on well together. You can see the trainer-jockey combo within the last year. Ross rides the track well, or seemingly does. And I just thought I couldn't quite work out why was 50 as I record this. I'm yet to post the tips in the blog, but we'll see what the prices are when I do. But that just seems a bit mad to me. It seems so big to suggest that there's something wrong. No one's really expecting much of a run at all, but I'm not letting him go off at that price. Not based on that run 2 starts ago. He might run exactly like he did last time, and he's gone out of form as quickly as he's come into it. He will need plenty of luck in running. Because he can be held up, but hopefully gets a bit more prominent position. Should I look at pace as I tick around the 12 minutes? The stalls, so if we flip it around here, so these number 1 will be on the inside, so like the far side as you look around the telly, or to the left, I think, because you'll get a front on view of the stalls. There's a fair bit of pace on. A Sky Defender will get out and across, but might hopefully use enough gas doing so. Bakers can go forward. Atwaters. SDS is in a tricky position, drawn 1. That's kind of why I'm anti him a bit. He either has to get out and get a prominent position and use up a fair bit of gas to do so, or he has to kind of take him back and sit and suffer. Horses that have yet to win over the distance in this race over the last 12 years are about 0 from 49, I think 8 places. The place is okay, but he has stamina to prove. It is Johnston at Goodwood and in a race that he's done well in, so I wouldn't be shocked if either one run big races, of course. This one is shaped like the trip might be worth a go, but he totally bombed last time. That may have been the ground, I'm not 100% sure. Or he just wasn't over that Ascot effort. But he does have stamina to prove, and he could get trapped behind a wall of horses. But he's an interesting one. Then we just skip them, just order this by the market. I was happy to take on the top 2 simply because they can be patiently ridden and they're drawn wide. Obviously, the Crisford horse steps up by 2 classes, so it is a step up in class. This doesn't look as deep as that John Smith's Cup. Obviously, that was a decent class 2. He ran an okay class 4, but only that. He's gone up to a mark of 91. Obviously, he's got £3 off, but there are some questions there, although that RPR was a career best. But he was held up in midfield there. From this draw, kind of 17 of 18, Kieran fans either have to use a lot of gas to get out and try and get across, or which leaves the issue of being trapped wide, or he deliberately holds him up and takes him back. But then, of course, you need even more luck in running, as will my Beckett horse if he's on his best behaviour and runs his race. But he's a monster price, and he's 4-1 favourite. So because of that draw and the running style, or the luck he may need, or the energy he may need early, I was happy to kind of take on at 4s, and the selections form is much better anyway. But he is progressive in form, so I'm not going to be shocked if he runs a big race with luck in running. He might likely go close, but I want to take him on at the price. The same with the stout horse. I prefer the selections form. This one's a couple of points shorter. Of course, he's lightly raced. I'm not quite sure if 10 furlongs is for him. He might want a bit further. He was keen enough last time out, and again he's drawn in the car park. Ryan Moore's got a difficult position there, and again at the price, you can win from wide. It's not impossible, but you're just obviously using that information to judge odds, and I would just like a slightly bigger price given the amount of luck they may need, depending on how they start, of course, and how it pans out. So that's that. Kind of those two. I kind of looked at Bell Rock, but he's unproven over the trip. He might need some luck in running as well, but Bell Rock's interesting. May Danny if he stays, but I've gone with the O'Meara horse for all those reasons stated, especially the connections, well, trainer and jockey having won it last year, and he looks like he's got a decent pot in him, and I'm hoping it is this pot. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. And yeah, Rafe Beckett's looked a massive price. I mean, if he stays 33s, 50s on the machine leading up to the race, then I think I'll probably know that's 1 point gone. That seems a massive overreaction to his last run, but maybe he has just gone out of form as quickly as he came into it. But based on that form there and that run, where, you know, an RPR of 105, he went up £7, but he could still have more to come given his profile and those figures there, and how the race has worked out and some of his form. 10 furlongs looks his trip. I can't quite work out why he's so big, but maybe I will find out soon enough. So yes, that's that. There wasn't really anything else. The Roger Fell horse is interesting, but I thought the O'Meara horse had him beat on a bit of form, but he did beat the current favourite at Sandown in September, as you can see there. So of course that makes you think 16s versus 4s is a bit of a disparity. He has been running on in a couple of his races. 10 furlongs probably looks like his trip. He was behind the selection at Epsom. I didn't see a reason, bar obviously one having luck in running and the other not, for why that form should be overturned, even though he's twice the price. I was happy to stick with O'Meara's, but I suppose those I've mentioned of the prices, yeah, May Danny, Bell Rock, the Fell one to a point. I should mention Gosden and Buick. Buick's a superb jockey. He rides this place well. He drops in trip. The stamina isn't a problem. He was awful last time. I'm not quite sure if it was the distance, if the ground had gone. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a better race here, but he might be a bit too experienced for a contest like this and the hustle and bustle of a big field handicap. I might be wrong there, but yeah, I've picked the two I have. Obviously, you can't back the whole field. There is some method to my madness, and there are kind of 5 or 6 you can make a solid case for, I think. And of course, I wouldn't put you off. Well, my job isn't to put you off any horses. So if you did fancy something else and have disagreed with me, or I've said something, never let what I say put you off your own selection if you like the price, which is very important because that can be rather annoying. So yes, that's that. Ticking around to 18 minutes. I suppose for those of you who want to use some information to kind of find your own winners, there's the GG's Instant Expert, which you can kind of pause the video, I suppose, at this point if you want. So this is winning form in the ground, which I think are dried out to good. Class 2, the distance. That's all in all codes. I can just go on the flat. I can just go handicaps, but you can see, well, that if I do place, so you can see those that have kind of placed at the track and in the class. Distance, the current going, which is kind of going to be a no excuse going, I think. Plenty of these are above their last winning handicap marks, including a kind of few that have had quite a few runs. So there's enough in here that are lightly raced. I'd like to think it will go to one of the younger brigade. If I click on handicaps here, you can see the form in handicaps as well. You can see the selections consistency and conditions in terms of win and place. Yeah, that's that. You can do what you wish with that information in front of you. And yeah, I've kind of shown you the pace and talked through different things. The other one I fancy for kind of 1 point win is Recon Mission for the Tony Carroll yard. he's won this race 4 or 5 times. He really knows what's required to win it. I do wonder if this has been the plan. The horse is only 4. He's back down to his last winning mark, which was a 22 runner field at York. He then went up to 104. He's come back down. Some of his RPRs, including last time out, are rather eye-catching. That Newbury effort is decent. He had a kind of higher rated horse next to him there. They all bumped into a decent one of the Haggis horse. I think this 5 furlongs going to be fine. I thought based on the strength of his form, he should be favourite in this, actually, especially from this mark. He went very close at Ascot in an okay race off 104. This certainly isn't any stronger. The pace was interesting. The stalls are up against the near side, the stand side. That means the high numbers will be up against the rail. If I do the draw like this, so yeah, the rail will be where Benny the Jets is. And he'll be up against it, and then these ones will be kind of into the middle of the track. There's a lot of pace on paper. Acclaim the Nation, Ornate, A Moment of Madness, they can all really go at it, as can Caspian Prince. So there's 4 who could really go at it. Recon Mission can lead, but I'm hoping Mark Wand might just be sensible and just sit off kind of these 3 that are will be to Tom's right hand side as he's looking down the track, and then once they kind of burn each other out, he can just get a gap and kind of swoop through if he's quick enough to hold a position on this 5 furlongs. That's the only slight niggle, but because of the trainer's record in the race and the pace that the horse shows and the fact he does stay a bit further, may not be a bad thing, because on paper they should go bloody quick in this. I don't really like hold up horses over sprint trips on this kind of track, and at Goodwood, because they might well, not a 4 to 1, I should say. Obviously I've backed a couple of hold up horses at 12s and 16s in bigger fields than this, twice the number, and kind of wide open expanse straight tracks like York and Ascot. This is a bit different, but it might set up for the favourite, but he in theory will need a fair bit of luck in running given his hold-up style, but it will go hard. If he gets it, he'll go close, but I didn't think he was a value price to do so because of his running style. So yeah, I think hopefully we'll trust in Tom Marquand to get this right. But he should be in the right place. He stays further. If he can hold a position early, I think we can get excited because he's handicapped to win. He's got a fairly lightly raced profile for his age, and he has some of the best form and best recent form on paper in this. If David Allen was here riding the Tim Easterby horse, I may have been slightly more interested in him. He went in the notebook at Newmarket. I think he'll appreciate the fact the firm has been taken out of the ground by the rain. But there was just a few niggles over, well, he was awful last time and I couldn't really see an excuse, but any horse can be excused a bad run. He wasn't great the time before. He was far too keen, but I don't think he got home. That's when I fancied him. And the kind of market told the story there. And or did I fancy him there? I forget. Maybe I didn't. Oh no, I didn't fancy there. So, but I kept a close eye on him because of that run before. And he just went far too. He was far too fresh and far too keen. I am forgetting whether or not I tipped him or not. I actually can't remember. In any case, he's if he repeated that Newmarket run, which hasn't worked out brilliantly as yet, he might run a big race here. We'll see what the market does, but there was just a few things off-putting. But Recon Mission, I wouldn't put you off a saver or some beer money at a price on Betfair maybe at the Easterby. That would be the really annoying one. And he does have a pace to sit off, and I kind of really like James Doyle as a jockey. But he does arrive out of form, and the selection's level of form through his career has been much better than what the Tim Easterby horse has achieved. And in the end, there was kind of a 4-point difference or so, but I was happy to go with the Carroll horse. In any case, I'm flipping round to 25 minutes. Hopefully you found some of those musings interesting enough. That's some of the method behind the madness and the reasoning for some of those selections today. For Goodwood, for Tuesday. Like I said, I'm recording this Monday evening about 4:30, 20 to 5. There's those 3 tips above the video now. There may be some more following Tuesday morning. Remember, on the day of racing, outside of festivals and before Saturdays, excluding kind of the odd big class 2 that I'll put selections up the evening before. I do an update at around 8 a.m, an update around 9 a.m, and then a final update, normally the very latest at 10 a.m, and you can keep track. But I know it's not ideal for everyone, but you know at those 3 time slots when tips will be posted, so hopefully that's of some use to you, if indeed you have any interest in what I fancy in a particular race. So with that said, I will shut up now, and yeah, thanks for watching. Until the next time, this is Josh saying bye for now and best of luck.